Come with me, please. You don't have to be alone in this rain anymore." The words cut through the storm like a lifeline. Cadence Morrell sat in her wheelchair outside the downtown Seattle pharmacy, soaked to the bone, her medication bag clutched against her chest. She looked up to see a man crouching beside her, dark hair plastered to his forehead, expensive suit ruined by the downpour, and eyes that held something she hadn't seen in months. Concern. Real, unfiltered concern. "I'm fine," Cadence said automatically. The lie she'd perfected over 2 years of learning to navigate the world from a wheelchair. "No, you're not." His voice was gentle but firm. "And neither am I. Standing here watching someone suffer when I can help." He paused, rain streaming down his face. "My name is Fletcher Donovan. My daughter Poppy is in the car. We were just heading home, but I can't drive away from this. From you. Please." 24-year-old Cadence had spent the last hour trying to call a rideshare, but her phone had died. The bus stop was 3 blocks away, impossible to reach in this weather. She'd been abandoned by her roommate that morning, told she was too much work to live with anymore. Everything she owned sat in 2 suitcases at a storage facility she couldn't afford past the week. "Why would you help a stranger?" she whispered. Fletcher's expression shifted, something painful and honest crossing his features. "Because 2 years ago, strangers didn't help my wife when she collapsed on a street corner. They walked past her, assuming she was drunk or high. She died alone on that sidewalk while people stepped over her." His voice cracked. "I can't be one of those people. Not anymore." 33-year-old Fletcher Donovan lived in a world of tech startups and venture capital. He'd built an empire from nothing, but success felt hollow when he came home to a house still haunted by absence. His daughter, Poppy, 3 years old, with her mother's copper curls, was the only thing keeping him tethered to anything real. When they pulled up to his house, Cadence's breath caught. Not because of the size or the obvious wealth, but because through the large windows she could see children's drawings taped to the walls, toys scattered across expensive furniture, and the warm chaos of a home actually lived in. "Daddy, is the rain lady coming inside?" Poppy asked from her car seat, her small voice piercing through Cadence's defenses. "If she wants to, sweetheart," Fletcher said softly. Cadence looked at him through tears that had nothing to do with the rain. "I don't have anywhere else to go." "Then stay. As long as you need." The first week was careful. Fletcher set her up in the ground floor guest room, retrofitted the bathroom with accessibility bars he ordered overnight, and never once made her feel like charity. Cadence waited for the pity, the awkward questions, the subtle suggestions that she was broken. They never came. Instead, Fletcher asked if she'd help Poppy with art projects while he worked from home. "She needs someone creative, someone patient, someone who sees the world differently." "You mean someone disabled?" Cadence said, unable to help the bitterness. "I mean someone who's had to rebuild themselves from the ground up. That takes a kind of strength Poppy needs to see. That I need to see." Slowly, carefully, something shifted. Cadence started joining them for meals. She'd read to Poppy before bed, her voice soft and steady. She'd listen when Fletcher talked about his late wife, Miranda, how she'd struggled with an undiagnosed heart condition, how he'd been too focused on work to notice she was suffering, how guilt had become her constant companion. One evening, 6 weeks after that rainy night, Fletcher found Cadence on the back patio staring at the sunset with tears streaming down her face. "Cadence, what's wrong?" "Everything. Nothing. I don't know anymore." She looked up at him, her expression raw. 2 years ago, I was on a road trip with my parents and younger brother. We were laughing, singing along to the radio, planning our next stop. Then a truck ran a red light, and in one moment, everything ended. Her voice broke. My parents died instantly, my brother died in the ambulance, and I woke up in a hospital bed, unable to feel my legs, unable to say goodbye to any of them. Fletcher sat beside her, his own grief recognizing hers. Cadence, do you know what the worst part is? It's not the chair, it's not the pain or the physical therapy or learning to live in a body that doesn't work the way it used to. Tears streamed down her face. It's the loneliness, Fletcher. It's losing everyone who knew me before the accident. Every friend who couldn't handle my grief or my disability. Every person who looked at me and only saw what I'd lost, never what I still had to give. Fletcher's hand found hers. After Miranda died, I learned something about loneliness. It's not about being alone. It's about being unseen. And I see you, Cadence. Poppy sees you. Not your wheelchair, not your loss. Just you. The person who survived the unsurvivable and is still here, still trying, still capable of kindness even when the world hasn't been kind to you. Why? She broke. Why does a man who has everything choose to see someone like me? Because you remind me that strength isn't about what we haven't lost. It's about how we carry what we have. He paused, his own eyes glistening. You could have given up in that rain. After losing everyone, after 2 years of rebuilding alone, you could have just stopped fighting. But you didn't. That's not weakness, Cadence. That's the kind of courage that changes everything. 3 months passed. Cadence started teaching art classes online from Fletcher's home office. Poppy became her shadow, declaring proudly to anyone who'd listen that Cadence teaches me to paint with feelings. Fletcher found himself laughing again, real laughter that echoed through rooms that had been silent too long. One afternoon, Fletcher's business partner visited and pulled him aside. You know people are talking, right? About the woman living in your house?
Let them talk, Fletcher said simply. Fletcher, you're a millionaire. She is a human being who needed help, and I had the means to give it. If that makes people uncomfortable, that says more about them than it does about us. But the conversation rattled Cadence. That night she packed her bags, preparing to leave before she became a liability to the man who'd saved her. Fletcher found her sitting in the dark, suitcases by the door. Running? He asked softly. Protecting you, your reputation, Poppy's future. Cadence's voice was steady, but her hands shook. You've given me everything, Fletcher. A place to heal, proof that kindness still exists, a reason to believe family isn't just blood, but I won't let my presence damage what you've built. What I've built? Fletcher's voice rose slightly, raw emotion breaking through. I built a fortune, Cadence. I built a company. I built a reputation. But do you know what I never built? A home. Not until you wheeled into it and reminded me what it means to live instead of just survive. Fletcher! Poppy's first full sentence after her mother died was, Daddy looks sad. She was 2 years old, and she could see I was drowning. But in the 3 months you've been here, she started singing again. She started believing the world has good people in it. You did that, Cadence. You, who lost everything, who had every reason to become bitter and closed. You chose kindness anyway. That's who you are. Cadence's tears fell freely now. I spent 2 years believing I was too broken to matter to anyone, that I died in that accident too, just slower. You didn't die, you survived. And survival isn't just breathing, it's choosing every single day to believe you still have something to offer the world. Stay, not because you need us, but because we need you. Because chosen family isn't about blood or obligation. It's about showing up for each other, exactly as we are, broken pieces and all. 6 months after that rainy night, the 3 of them sat together, watching another storm roll in. Poppy was nestled between them, drawing pictures of rainbows and families, always 3 figures now, holding hands. "You know what I've learned," Fletcher said quietly. "That rainy night didn't change everything because I found you. It changed everything because I finally stopped walking past people who needed to be seen. Because I chose, for once, to be the kind of person my wife would have been proud of." Cadence reached for his hand, her touch warm and sure. "I thought I'd lost everything in that accident, my family, my future, my purpose. But being found in the rain by you, being seen for who I am instead of what I've lost, that gave me back something I thought was gone forever. Hope, connection, the belief that family isn't just who you're born to, but who chooses to stay." Outside, rain continued its steady rhythm. Inside, 3 people who'd been shattered by loss had found something profound. Not rescue or repair, but the simple, revolutionary act of showing up with open hearts, day after day, exactly as they were, broken pieces and all. "Come with me," Fletcher had said that night in the storm, and Cadence had. Into warmth, into belonging, into the kind of life where kindness isn't measured by what we can fix for each other, but how we choose to sit together in our brokenness and call it family anyway.